Hello everyone, just me, Jeff Donnelly, jpdonnelly8.com, jpdonnelly8, Facebook, Instagram, bunch of different places, but jpdonnelly8, and also YouTube, jpdonnelly8. Okay, so as you're aware, I ran for mayor of Springfield a couple years back, and at every debate I went to, I said, how can I be suitable for a Massachusetts firearm license, but not be suitable to renew my hawker peddler's business permit to sell a book I wrote exposing corruption? Including corruption involving the Springfield Police Department and other agencies, including the Hamden County District Attorney's Office as well. So, 30 days before my firearm license came up for renewal, Hamden County District Attorney's Office started reaching out. They started filing false criminal complaints against me, okay? And guess what? I won those. Hands down, won those false criminal complaints, okay. So what ends up happening, though, is they end up having the I'm not sure if the District Attorney's Office had them do it or if this was just Springfield PD involved in it as co-conspirators, but hey. They didn't like the fact that I wrote this book around Emotion and Political Repression, a journal detailing the corruption. I was told to get rid of the book before and everything would go away, and I said, the hell with that. I'm stupid, I'm Irish, I can't help it, all right? So the thing is, as you're aware, I believe in transparency, I believe in putting the truth out there. I don't care if it's good, bad, or ugly. So I'm going to read the complaint to you of what I was actually found. The complaint, the charge I was found guilty of, which makes no sense to me. But I want you to listen to what the complaint is, and I want you to ask yourself, am I guilty of breaking the law? So, let's see what we got here. It says, it's a Mass General Law, Chapter 269, Section 10I, firearm / license / FID card, fail surrender. Okay, so I'm being charged with failure to surrender my firearms and a firearm license. And this was done on May 7th, 21. Okay. So yeah, this has been going on, the appeals and everything else for a while. So Springfield Police Department, narrative for Officer Timothy Schenk, a detective. So let's see what it says here. Entered 5/7/21, modified 5/7/21. Entered in at 18:11 hours, modified at 22:31 hours. So something in between that time, something was changed in this report. And you gotta wonder what was changed. But anyways, Sir, Madam, on 5/7/2021 at approximately 18:11 hours, I, Detective Timothy Schenk, respectfully requested a warrant for arrest be issued to Mr. Jeffery P Donnelly, date of birth 4/24/83, license number 1259354-1A, for the following charge. Number 1, failure to surrender LTC / firearm / FID card. For the failure to turn over the following. And then he does A through AA, which goes Z and then AA. Okay, so number A, right? For failure to turn over the following. Remember, number A. LTC Class C, number 1259354-1A, issued 5/5/2015, expires 4/24/2021. Do you see something wrong there? I do. So, I'm being charged for the following. Number 1, failure to surrender an LTC, license to carry, that expired on April 24th. Well, there's a situation here. This is May 7th, so this license doesn't exist. It's expired. Okay? And then he lists a bunch of my firearms, right? So let's see what he writes. He writes firearm, AK-47, Romanian, AK-47, Romanian, AK-47, Romanian. None of my firearms are registered with the state as being AK-47s. And 2 of these, quote-unquote, Romanian AK-47s are actually antique Tokarev pistols, which are handguns. Which, if you know what a 1911 Colt 45 looks like, basically it looks like a rude, crude copy of those. So, no, but they write down 3 AK-47s, you know? Because remember something, they're having a clerk magistrate read this. And the clerk magistrate, their eyes are popping out. 3 AK-47s, oh my God, what the hell's going on? This guy's got a fucking arsenal. Yeah. And I didn't have 3 AK-47s, you know? Like 2 of these are like antique handguns. And let's see, like, oh, then we ended up getting to a couple more firearms that are listed, right? Firearm / 45 auto. Auto. You think of you get someone that knows nothing about guns, and they read 45 auto. That comes up as 45 automatic. Okay, so here's 3 more machine guns that this detective is listing. And remember, nowhere in the state paperwork is there registered with me any machine guns or any automatic firearms. And these 3 45 autos are actually 1911 45 caliber handguns. Okay, then like you make sure to write down SKS, 2 SKSs. Yes, I've got 2. Why do I have 2 SKSs? Pretty simple. I bought them online, you know, sight unseen, you know, like, and I paid very little for them. So for the cost of 2, would have cost me less than buying one at a gun store. So I figured, might as well chance it. If one is broken, the other one's not going to be broken, or parts interchangeable, you know, who knows. Maybe out of the 2, I could get 1 good rifle. I got lucky and got 2 good rifles. So if you look at it though, right? Those are listed. Those are at least listed as the right firearm. So then what do we have here after that, right? So there's no reason to write down a listing of my firearms, plain and simple. But if you want to see my firearms, are on another video when they're being confiscated. So after giving a listing of my firearms and informing the court that my license to carry it's expired, so I don't have one, he writes, on 4/12/2021, Springfield Police Deputy Chief S. Kent issued a LTC and firearm revocation service for Mr. Donnelly due to an open case. Okay, well guess what? During trial, Deputy Kent stated that I was never notified, that he never sent anyone actually to notify me that my license was suspended. Or, hold on. Revocation service. Deputy Kent said it was suspended, not revoked. The paperwork said it was suspended, not revoked. As anyone knows anything about firearms knows, a suspension is just until whatever it was suspended with ends, which would have been this Palmer case, which I beat. But yeah. But once again, and this is April 12th, which I was not notified of. And when I did put in my application for renewal, they didn't even notify me then that my license was suspended. Okay, so, but remember something, they didn't even make claim that they even served me with that, which under Mass General Law, service has to be made by in person, well, in writing at least. It has to tell you why your license has been suspended, has to tell you your appellate rights, and yeah, so in writing, tell you why, and tell you your appellate rights. And then he writes, pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 140, Section 129D of the Massachusetts General Laws, anointed Mr. Donnelly refused to deliver or surrender to the licensing authority, the Springfield Police Department, his LTC, firearms, large capacity feed devices, rifles, shotguns, and ammunition owned by him or on his possession. He never states that I was even served with a revocation service. Remember? Like, it's because I was never served. The Springfield Police never even tried to serve me. But anyways, the license on this day it's expired anyway, so I don't have a license on this day as it is. And then it says, today, on 5/7/2021, I, Detective T. Schenk, contact Mr. Donnelly on his cell phone number. I spoke to Mr. Donnelly at approximately 1700 hours and he stated he would not surrender his firearms and LTC to the police. Mr. Donnelly stated he was going to transfer his firearms to Vermont, so he cannot obtain them. Mr. Donnelly was very uncooperative and argumentative on the phone. Mr. Donnelly was given plenty of opportunities to comply with the order. On 5/7/2021, at approximately 17:20 hours, Sergeant E. Podersky called Mr. Donnelly, whom stated that he felt that he was not required to surrender his firearms and that they were already in Vermont. Mr. Donnelly's story on the whereabouts of his firearms and other related topics kept on changing and again refused to comply with the order. Confirmed all firearms registered B2AA to Mr. Donnelly through CJIS. Respectfully submitted, Detective T. Schenk. Well, we got a problem with that. First off, as was shown in the trial, I notified the Springfield Police Department on April 23rd in writing in a certified letter that my firearms were going to Vermont due to the open case and my thought that they were not going to renew my license because of the open case. So my firearm collection was going out of state. They were notified that on April 23rd. They went into my file and they sent back the application, the renewal application, asking for me to give them a copy of my driver's license and a copy of a utility bill. So, right there, the Springfield Police Department were aware that the firearms were already in Vermont in April. But that's the kicker. I was arrested. I was thrown in Ludlow House of Corrections for the day. My clothes, it was a big situation in the Ludlow jail. I go before a judge, and the district attorney's office requires that I turn my firearms, so the judge required that I turn my firearms over to the City of Springfield Police Department, or I notified them of who I transferred ownership of to them in Vermont. Well, the problem is that any gun owner knows that if you transfer ownership of a handgun across state line, that's actually a federal felony. And I've got a lot of handguns. And that's what they tried to nail me on, is transferring ownership of firearms over across state line. When I put in writing, I was bringing them to Vermont and legally storing them in Vermont. I did not transfer ownership of them to anyone. I did not store them with any person in Vermont. So what happens? The Springfield Police Department want my guns. So what happens? They go to Vermont and they illegally confiscate my firearms. The video I posted already of them collecting them. And why? Why did they go to Vermont and get my guns? Because I didn't have a gun license in Massachusetts anymore? Because that's what this comes down to. On the stand, Sergeant Podersky even testified. If I would have just given the guns up, I would have never been charged. If I would have gone to Vermont and got the guns, I would have never been charged. Okay. Doesn't make any mention of the license, doesn't care about the license. If I would have gone to Vermont and got the guns, I would have never been charged. Deputy Chief Kent testified in court. I did not have a firearm license on the day in question. I was never served with notice that I had a firearm license. Well, I was never, Deputy Chief Kent testified, I was never notified my license was suspended until after I was actually arrested. He actually testified to that too. He agreed that I sent notice on April 23rd that my firearms were in Vermont. So, at the end of the day, the district attorney's office claimed I was not charged with refusing to turn over my firearms. Remember something. The district attorney's office claims in the appellate's court that I was not charged with refusing to turn over my firearms that are in Vermont. So if I wasn't charged with refusing to turn over my firearms in Vermont, why did the city of Springfield say they were charging me with that? Why did the district attorney's office ask the judge to order my firearms to be turned over that were in Vermont? Why did the Springfield Police Department go to Vermont and take my firearms from Vermont where I was legally allowed to have them in? And why did the judge allow that? Well, the judge retired a couple days later and got a job with the city of Springfield. And then he became the city solicitor, the head city attorney soon after. But what did I get charged with? What did they find me guilty of? Well, the judge's custom jury instructions, and once again, this judge is a former City of Springfield attorney. Yeah, go figure. And also a former assistant district attorney with Hampden County. Oh yeah. And I'm sitting there claiming corruption. Go figure. So what does he do? He makes custom jury instructions. I'm requesting in my jury instructions. Very simple. Did Mr. Donnelly have a firearm license on May 7th, 2021? If you check yes, did Mr. Donnelly refuse to turn over said firearm license? If yes, find Mr. Donnelly guilty. Did the state prove that Mr. Donnelly had any firearms in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on May 7th? If yes, did Mr. Donnelly refuse to turn over said firearms that were in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? If yes, find Mr. Donnelly guilty. Pretty simple, right? Make the state prove that I had a firearm license when I was charged, and make them prove that I had firearms in Massachusetts when I was charged. Makes sense, right? No. Nope. The judge refused. The judge stated, did Mr. Donnelly refuse to turn over his firearm license when contacted by the Springfield Police Department? Yeah. So, right away, did Mr. Donnelly refuse to turn over his firearm license? Well, did I refuse? I guess. Like, if you put it that way, who wouldn't convict? Because the judge is telling the jury, Mr. Donnelly had a firearm license on that day. He's not saying, did the Commonwealth prove that Mr. Donnelly had a firearm license? No. So then, I get found guilty of failure to turn over a firearm license. Not an expired license, but an actual license, which I didn't have. And then in the appellate's court, the district attorney, the Hampden County district attorney, wrote, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 10I, does not say that the police have to inform someone that their firearm license has been suspended. Like, they actually claim that the law does not say that person has to be informed that their license has been suspended. Even though Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 140, clearly states, has to be in writing, has to tell the person why it's being suspended, and it has to tell them their appellate rights. But no. This goes through the appellate's court. The appellate's court rules that the law does not say that a person has to be notified that their license has been suspended in Massachusetts. So right now we have case law in Massachusetts that says that the police can strip you of your constitutional rights, your Second Amendment rights, without notifying you. Are we living in a strange time where a person's civil rights can be stripped without due process? Because that's what due process is notifying you and giving you the appellate rights. And this is a constitutional issue too. This isn't just like my rights, my rights. This is the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. Can you picture if the state would just willy-nilly strip people their driver license without notifying them, and you get pulled over without a driver's license because some bureaucrat decided to strip you of it? So yes, at the end of the day, I was found guilty of failure to turn over a firearm license. So it's either on April 12th, when they never notified me that it was suspended, or when I didn't have one on May 7th. So did I refuse on May 7th when I didn't have a license, or did I refuse on April 12th when I wasn't even notified that the license was suspended? Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's what I was found guilty on. And my being found guilty of refusing to turn over an expired firearm license is why, right now, the Springfield Police Department and Judge Murphy of the the Springfield District Court find me as a prohibited person from owning firearms by that conviction I have for failure to turn over an expired firearm license, a license that I actually did not have at the time that I was contacted. And when you say, well, if you put in renewal, like the license is still valid, that's only if they cash the check and send the receipt of the fees paid back to you. My case, they sent back the whole application, including the cash check. So I wasn't even protected under that clause in the law that protects a lot of people. And remember, when they sent me back that packet, they still didn't notify me my license was suspended. The police only notified me a couple days later. So we're living in a strange time where it's pure corruption. And you got to wonder, with these people that say, when the cops show up looking for my guns, I'm going to say I'm lost them in a boating accident. Well, hey, that's not going to work. Because you can even have them in a state where you're still legally allowed to own them in. And they're going to arrest you. They're going to put the handcuffs on you. They're going to charge you. And they're going to find you guilty. Because they're going to sit there and tell the jury what the jury needs to rule on. Not that the state needs to prove their case. Not that the state needs to prove that the person had a gun license. Not that the state has to prove that the person had a firearm or even one round of ammunition in Massachusetts. No. We're living in a time where the Commonwealth of Massachusetts especially does not give a shit what the law says. Because remember, the appellate's court even ruled, after doing a lot of shady shit themselves, that hey, the police don't have to notify you that your license has been suspended. How is that possible when the law clearly states that they do? Due process. That's why the law is written as it is. Notification in writing, why, and your appellate rights. But no. When the government wants you, they want you. When you write a book exposing corruption, when you do videos exposing corruption, the government gets pissed off. And what do? They put the screw to you even more. But once again, I believe in transparency. If you have any questions, ask the questions. I'll answer them because honestly, I have nothing to hide. I'm not a perfect person. I'm flawed. I've got flaws just like everyone else, and I'm willing to expose my own flaws, plain and simple. I don't care. Okay. Once again, Jeff Donnelly, JP Donnelly 8, author of Emotion and Political Repression. I've got degrees in psychology and criminal justice, and most of an art education degree as well. Okay. I also worked in the Department of Youth Services as a direct care worker in the past, the equivalent of a youth corrections officer. I was with the Springfield Park Rangers for a while. I worked private security for many years, and I was a bouncer for even longer. Okay. Have a good day.